Back on TYT Sports, Cam Newton took to the Players Tribune to discuss a few different elements of his past season and his seasons going forward. In 3 different videos that you're about to see, he talks in the first one in relation to him wanting to be the best ever and the fact that when people tell you it's just one loss, it's just a loss, that's not as easy to get over as some people may think. The second is on celebrating the dab. Francis, give me a dab. Thank you.
Old.
And the third is mostly geared towards the press conference that he walked out of during the Super Bowl. So he kind of, I wouldn't say cleared the air is the right word, but just offered his insight all via the Players Tribune. So thank you to the Players Tribune. I guess we should thank the almighty Derek Jeter for that one. So you can play these back to back to back, Jacory, if you will.
For a person to sit up here and tell me that, man, it's okay, you can't win them all. Yes, you can. So involved with trying to have this killer instinct mentality. When you look at the greats that have played or have done something great, from Muhammad Ali, Tiger Woods, Kobe Bryant, Derek Jeter, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, just a list of certain people who you can see it, you can sense it, you can feel it. When watching them play, it was something that it was different that they had that another player didn't. And is it taught? No. Can you work on it? Probably. But it's that burning desire when you are fed up with just accepting something and you know that you're worth more. You don't necessarily have to, beat on your chest to say, I'm the best. Or in Muhammad Ali's words, I'm the greatest. But you have to have that mentality in everything that you do. And that's where a celebration comes in. When you know you gave every single thing that your body could even muster and you achieve something and you deserve it. There's never a point in time in my life where I wish I could take certain things back, because I can't. I'm not perfect. I've said that numerous times, and I will continuously to say that. I'm a person that's striving for perfection. And without pitfalls, without hiccups, without certain things happening in your life, I don't think you learn certain things. So whether you may think, I may think, whoever may think I handled any situation not up to their amusement, then I'm a person that living life to the fullest and trying to maximize every opportunity to get better in great situations as well as bad situations. It was never a point in time that I felt that I've reached a point of that I was untouchable or that this team was better than advertised. I just was so confident in the players that was on my team. When I think about the Carolina Panthers, I think about a family. I think about a brotherhood of great players, not just good players, great players. And everybody is in pursuit of the common goal to hoist a Lombardi trophy.
Cam Newton, lots of polarizing messages from Cam Newton, especially heading into another season after coming off a Super Bowl loss, but a 15-1 regular season, constantly being criticized for everything except his game in press conferences and the way he handled himself in celebrations. Looks like we're past that. Looks like we're finally past that, which is nice to see.
Do you think so?
I think so. I think the criticisms for Cam Newton, I think he put a pretty big end to his ability on the field. Yeah, he'd had a Super Bowl loss. It wasn't the best game he ever played, but I mean, after every game that they were undefeated during that season, until they finally lost and then still finished 15-1, it was the same thing. Oh, are the Panthers for real? Can they make the Super Bowl? Are they really that? They're not going to beat the Seahawks. They wouldn't beat the Packers. They wouldn't beat the Cardinals. They wouldn't beat any of those teams. But eventually, their road led them to the Super Bowl, and they ran into one of the 10 best defenses we've seen in a Super Bowl game. If not, maybe like in the game itself, maybe one of the 5 best defenses we've ever seen in a Super Bowl game. So I think it's put an end to it. I think it's time that everyone's moved on from the point of just criticizing Cam Newton for being Cam Newton.
Well, I would like to believe that. I'll wait until I see how the season pans out. The only reason I think is if you thought he had a target on his back last year for his celebrations and the way that he carried himself, as you're right, around everything except his actual game,
right.
I think the target will just be as big this year, if not even bigger. And that's just the narrative that goes on in the United States, unfortunately. I would love to have everyone just focus on Cam Newton's ability and what he's able to do, but Cam Newton is, as I mentioned before last season, he's not someone to play by the rules and play into the stereotypes that people want athletes to play into, and I think that's a great thing. He's very inspiring. I love Cam Newton as both a player and the messages that he puts forward. And the reason I think that it's not, I'll have to wait and see, is because technically the last competitive game, the way he ended the game wasn't his most perfect ending, the way he ended both the game and his press conference. So until we see him in that competitive surrounding again, he's not going to come out after a preseason game and they'll be like, you should have dove for that, Cam. Well, it's preseason. So it's all about how he's going to carry himself through the season. I have him on my fantasy team, so obviously I'm backing him to go forward and have a great year. But I love the messages that he stands by. I love that saying, I'm not perfect. I'm someone that's striving for perfection. And that's something that people need to realize in every aspect of life and in sports, is that when you're able to acknowledge that you have flaws and that they will be pointed out by a lot of people, but as long as you work to try and fix those flaws, you're on the right path. And I think that this is a guy that is he's blessed with such almost unmeasured ability, the way he can do things on the field.
Point.
But he's so, like, the thing about Cam Newton, which I think is amazing, because people are like the one word that you wouldn't put alongside Cam Newton is humble, right? Because everyone thinks he's cocky, he dabs, he dances. But when you actually listen to the guy talk, he is very humble, and he's actually very gracious of the opportunity that he's been given, and he wants to strive to be better. And when people question and laugh at Cam Newton saying, I want to be the best quarterback, like, what do you expect him to be? I want to be in the top 20 quarterbacks.
The joke I've been making all week. I want to be the 11th best quarterback behind Vinny Testaverde when I retire, actually. I want to be remembered as a good Panthers quarterback, but not as good as Jake Delhomme. Yeah. Was it Jake Delhomme? It was Jake Delhomme who played for the Panthers.
It's the same people. The same people laughed at LeBron James. Remember, we did the clip where LeBron's like,
I'm chasing
the ghost. And it's like, you're never going to get him, LeBron. Why are you even chasing it? You're right. I quit. I'm done. What's the point? I'm never going to catch him.
I'm done. I'm leaving. The other point I wanted to make about Cam, which I can't think off the top of my head anymore.
It's coming.
It's at some
Ready?
point.
Here it is.
I think you need that paper.
You got it?
I think you need that paper.
I just threw it towards you. You've got it. It's back in your head.
Yeah. Oh, Cam. I
knew it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right. Here's a guy who, seriously, since 2010 when he played at Auburn, he had the single greatest quarterback season in college football history. Look up his numbers. Watch those game tape. Cam Newton was doing things that made Michael Vick's Virginia Tech year look mundane. Yeah. And Michael Vick, at that point, you could have argued had one of the single greatest quarterback seasons in college football history. But Cam Newton's numbers are through the roof, and you watch him. The major game itself was the Iron Bowl, his comeback against Alabama. They're down 21-0, and Cam Newton's leading the charge the whole way, and some great Auburn defense.
I remember
down the stretch. A.J. McCarron was still playing in Alabama at that point. It was like his first year, I think. It was actually a two-quarterback system there. But so he comes out of this unbelievable season in college football that no one's ever seen before, technically, in a way. Just doing it in both ways, through the air, with his legs, leadership qualities, all that stuff. He gets drafted first overall, and it seems like Cam himself has started to, I won't want to say evolve into a different quarterback, because he still gets a lot of it done with his legs. He still finds ways to make plays outside the pocket. It just seems as like the pass-heavy NFL is actually beginning to not favor him, because he's not the most accurate quarterback. I mean, just watch him in any game itself. His passing ability is not the most accurate passer we've ever seen. I mean, like Aaron Rodgers trumps him in that sense by a mile, but I would consider Cam Newton like the LeBron James freak athlete. Like, will this guy ever get seriously injured? He's wearing body armor across his ribs. Yeah. And the whole thing, and like the last point about the celebrations, stop him from getting in the end zone if you don't want the guy to celebrate. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Is people are like, oh, celebrating. It's absurd. Really? Really?
I would kick him out. I would hurt him. Remember all his interviews?
Gronk deflates footballs by spiking them into the ground every time he scores a touchdown. I've never heard one person say in my life, Gronk should stop celebrating.
But I think that's a good point that you bring up. I mean, especially I think last year he's going to live and learn. When you come up against A phenomenal defense, as you mentioned, one of the best in Super Bowl history. It doesn't matter how good you are at running. You need to find a way to pass the ball because you cannot run through a defense that's going to literally try and stop you. Or you can try.
I got to laugh at Cenk.
You can try.
I'm going to laugh at Cenk. You can give it to Jonathan Stewart, who Cenk Uygur picked in our fantasy football draft and claimed that we were all, quote, idiots for letting him fall to the what? Fourth round pick. Fourth round. Jonathan Stewart. I don't know the last time Jonathan Stewart's run for 1,000 yards in a season or a 100-yard game or ever. He has, obviously. But still, you can hand it off to Jonathan Stewart is my point. But this isn't about Jonathan Stewart. We have the comment about Cam Newton and what you think is in store for the reigning National Football Conference MVP. Correct? You won overtime.
Yeah, he won.
Or he was the MVP of the league. Mm-hmm. The most valuable player. That makes sense.
He wasn't the MVP of the Super Bowl.
No, that was Von Miller, the pelvic thrusting king. All right, comment below. What is in store for the Panthers this year? Cam Newton, what kind of celebrations do you think he's going to bring out? And the criticisms, and just where do you stand overall? For or against Cam Newton? Let us know. We'll see you next time.